Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to Emergency Management Associates. Coming to you from the Area Command, 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. As we've been doing for some time now, we're going to start this program off with a salute to the United States of America. We're going to have the Army Barbershop Quartet singing the national anthem. I would ask everybody right now to please rise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now would you make welcome straight from Washington, D.C., the United States Army Corps Quartet.
Yeah.
Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the
America's Finest, the United States Army Barbershop Quartet, performing at the Barbershop Quartet Convention in 2015. We appreciate these men providing this for us. We appreciate all of our armed forces wherever they might be around the world. We appreciate all of our allied armed forces as well, those countries that help provide us safety and help provide the world with safety as well. May God bless you all, men and women, wherever you might be, that you might return home to your families in safety after your tours of duty end. God bless you all, and thank you for your service. Brothers and sisters, this is Preparedness Friday. Now, there have been some earthquakes that we want to talk about. So I'm going to put up the USGS map briefly to show you some earthquakes that have happened. I'm going to take down my mug so you don't have to watch me, and let's talk about some earthquakes. Okay? First off, one of the largest earthquakes that have hit in the Pacific Northwest late last night. This was a large 5.0 earthquake off the coast of Barview, Oregon. Off the coast of Barview, Oregon, guys. This is northern Oregon, okay? Off the coast. This is also right nearly on top of the Cascadia subduction zone. Literally on top of the Cascadia subduction zone. The Cascadia subduction zone is that earthquake fault that runs from over just west of Seattle, Washington, off the coast, and runs all the way down the coast until it gets to Northern California. The Cascadia subduction zone. We've had numerous earthquakes just like this here in the past few years. 2 days ago, we had a 2.34 earthquake almost in the same region, but it was on the east side of the Cascadia subduction zone. Just yesterday. Now, they're not showing all the other aftershocks that came with it. 5 other aftershocks came with this earthquake. One 4.5, the others were 3s, and I believe we had a 2.7. So, folks, this is not the only earthquake that's here. Again, I want to emphasize that the United States Geological Survey is never going to tell us the truth. They never will. They're hiding earthquakes all over the place. This is not the first time they're doing it. Okay? They don't want to be honest, because if they were honest, people would flee. People would flee the coast, because everyone should know that there's going to be a major earthquake here on the west coast of North America, in the Pacific Northwest. It's going to be a 9.0, 10.0 megathrust earthquake. Okay? It has not happened for 234 years, but it is overdue right now. Some scientists say it could be as much as 50 years away. I don't believe we have that long. I believe we might have 5 years. And that 9.0, 10.0 megathrust earthquake could happen at any time. Tonight, tomorrow, or next year. It could literally happen at any time. Everybody needs to be prepared for it. We're going to talk about preparedness tonight. One other earthquake that hit on the Juan de Fuca Fault here. The Juan de Fuca Fault here is the zigzag fault line that runs from Haida Gwaii or Queen Charlotte Island here to the north, and runs all the way down to Oregon, to the Blanco Fracture Zone. The Blanco Fracture Zone is this other line that runs from the northwest to the southeast. Okay? The Blanco Fracture Zone. This 3.1 earthquake hit off the coast of Tofino, Canada, and or Seattle, Tacoma, Washington. Just off the coast on the Juan de Fuca Fault. Now, that fault line that I told you about connects to the Blanco Fracture Zone. The Blanco Fracture Zone connects on the northeast of the Gorda Ridge. The Gorda Ridge. The Gorda Ridge runs from northeast to southwest. The Gorda Ridge connects with the Gorda Escarpment here. The Gorda Escarpment is a long east-west facing earthquake fault. The Gorda Escarpment runs from off the coast of Northern California all the way out to the middle of the Pacific Ocean. In this case, the Gorda Ridge connects with the Gorda Escarpment. The Gorda Escarpment also connects with the Cascadia subduction zone to the east. Also one other fault. The Gorda Escarpment also connects with the San Andreas Fault. The San Andreas Fault. Now what happens here? This is called the Triple Junction Area. The three faults come together. The Cascadia subduction zone, the Gorda Ridge, and the San Andreas Fault. Now, December 23rd, 2019. Chris Goldfinger, the professor of geology at Oregon State University, met in a forum with other geologists and anthropologists. in San Francisco. Why did he meet with them? At that meeting, they discussed the Cascadia subduction zone earthquake. They all came to the conclusion that the Cascadia subduction zone earthquake could trigger the San Andreas Fault, and probably would trigger the San Andreas Fault, which means that 10.0 earthquake could be felt all the way up to Alaska to the north and all the way down south to the Mexican border. All the way down south here to the Mexican border. Will it happen? Yes. It absolutely will happen. Now, what else is going to happen? When the Cascadia subduction zone earthquake hits, again, it's going to be a major, major earthquake. A 9.0, 10.0 earthquake. A very dangerous earthquake. When it happens, that earthquake will trigger the San Andreas Fault. And the seismic energy will be felt up and down the entire coastline of North America, from Alaska south all the way to the Mexican border. Now, what happens here? Let's look at the San Andreas Fault. The San Andreas Fault runs from the Triple Junction area. It runs along the coastline of Northern California. It runs down the coastline of Northern California, even down through just west of the San Francisco Bay Area. The San Andreas Fault continues south, but it goes inland. It goes inland and it goes east of Monterey Bay, California, still Northern California. It continues its run south here down the west coast of California, but at this time it's inland from the coastline. The fault continues as it passes Santa Barbara. It continues further inland. As we see just over here east of Los Angeles, the Cascadia subduction zone continues here. I shouldn't say the Cascadia, but the San Andreas Fault continues here east of Los Angeles, east of San Diego County. It runs into the Imperial County of California, Southern California area. Okay? Runs into northern Mexico. This earthquake is going to be major, major. Now, as the fault goes further south, scientists say that the strength of the earthquake may dissipate as it moves further away from the fault where it happened, the epicenter where it happened. Yes, that's possible. But this is still going to be a major earthquake, nonetheless. It may drop from a 10.0, 9.0, 10.0 quake. It might drop to 8.5 once it reaches San Francisco. It may drop to 7.5 once it reaches Los Angeles. But then again, it might not. It's going to cause a lot of damage. Can you imagine what's going to happen when that earthquake reaches San Francisco with the millions of people that live here? Today, on the San Andreas Fault, we have a 1.4 tremor here. On the San Andreas Fault, just west of San Francisco Bay, Pacifica, California. It continues to run south just east of Monterey Bay, just south of San Francisco. It's going to continue running down the coast of California. Even though it's probably 150 miles east of Santa Barbara, Santa Barbara is still going to feel massive shaking, to the point that not just San Francisco and the Bay Area, that Santa Barbara will be destroyed. Thousands of people killed. Thousands of people injured. The fault line runs just east of Los Angeles. What you need to know, there are hundreds of other fault lines all over the Los Angeles basin, running east, west, north, and south. When this earthquake energy reaches Los Angeles, it will again destroy this entire area. It will destroy all of San Diego County, and even down here into the Imperial Valley. What you see now in California will not be there. What you see now in California will not be there after this quake hits. Now, some of you may have seen the San Andreas movies, both with The Rock and back in 1989 when Paramount Pictures ran the Great Los Angeles earthquake. That is just part of what's going to happen. That is a portrayal of what's going to happen. I'm telling you, it will happen. It is a matter of time. Down here in Southern California, northeast San Diego County, we see some earthquakes here, but these are not representative of the earthquakes that have hit here. USGS has badly underestimated the earthquakes that have hit this region today. Northeast San Diego County and the Imperial Valley, even up to San Bernardino County up in the LA area, Ontario area, and Rancho Cucamonga. Folks, there have been dozens of minor earthquakes and tremors up and down the San Jacinto Fault today. Dozens of minor tremors and minor earthquakes. Swarms. I'm talking a very large swarm of quakes. And again, USGS is not even coming close to showing what has actually happened today. Now, what have I said it will happen when we have swarms of quakes? What happens when I have told you we have swarms of quakes? What happens after that? When we see swarms of earthquakes, that is telling that there's a larger earthquake incoming. There is a larger earthquake incoming. Right here. This is Borrego Springs, California, northeast San Diego County. Further to the north, the Anza Gap, Anza Borrego Desert State Park, northeast San Diego County. Again, this is not even representative of what has actually happened today. This is a 1.3 tremor. To the north of this is a 0.3 microquake. To the north of there is a 1.0 tremor. Further north, Beaumont, California, closer to the San Andreas Fault, a 1.7 tremor. Further north, Calamasa, California, an RV resort. This is a 0.9 1.0 tremor. Further north, also on the San Jacinto Fault, is a 1.0 tremor, this time in Loma Linda, California. Tremors are normal for this area, very much normal. But what USGS has shown us is not even representative of what has actually happened. Like I said, there have been dozens of tremors stretching from over here in Loma Linda all the way south into San Diego County. Dozens of tremors and earthquakes. Earthquakes being 2.0 to 2.4 in magnitude. They're not even touching on what's actually happening. Swarms of earthquakes today. What's going to happen? Folks, as I have stated before in other programs, when we see swarms of quakes, that means there's a larger earthquake incoming. Now, earlier this week, down here off the coast of Costa Rica, Central America, we had a 6.0 earthquake. Today, off of El Salvador, we have a 4.4 moderate earthquake, 10 kilometers deep. The earthquake that hit off of Costa Rica further to the south was a 6.0, and it was fairly shallow, 140 kilometers deep. Shallow earthquakes cause the most damage. Deep earthquakes don't cause much damage, but they have the potential depending on the magnitude of the quake. This 6.0 energy has gone north. Over in southern Mexico yesterday, we had another 5.0 earthquake. Today, just off the coast of southern Mexico here, we had another 4.7. As I said, the 6.0 and 5.0 energy have gone north. We fully expect to see a larger earthquake either in northern Mexico or southern California, probably within the next 72 hours. I'm issuing an earthquake watch for Southern California. I'm issuing an earthquake watch for Southern California, starting today. This is truly not representative of what has actually happened here in San Diego County today, or even in the Imperial Valley. I know Juanito's here with us today in the chat. Juanito lives over here in the Imperial Valley, over in El Centro. Right over here in El Centro. 2 days ago, we talked about the earthquakes here in the Imperial Valley. There were 15 3.0 and larger earthquakes here in El Centro on Wednesday. Overall, throughout the Imperial Valley, we had probably close to 250 to 300 earthquakes throughout the Imperial Valley on Wednesday. Now, further north up here, this is Calipatria, California. Caltech and USGS have eliminated the Calipatria seismograph. It's not functioning any longer. The Calipatria seismograph was showing us anywhere from 100 to 150 earthquakes itself every day. Calipatria having 100 to 150 earthquakes every day here. Now it's not, the seismograph is not available to report anything. They've taken it down. Further down here to the west of the Salton Sea, this is Westmoreland, California. We have a seismograph here in Westmoreland. Wednesday it reported about 50 earthquakes. These were tremors and minor earthquakes. Tremors from 1.0 to 1.9 and minor earthquakes from 2.0 to 2.9. Further south, and we talked about this. We've talked about this many times. We have a town called Imperial. The town of Imperial had another 60 earthquakes on Wednesday. Some of those earthquakes were 3.0 to 3.5 earthquakes as well. Also tremors. Dozens of tremors here in the Imperial, the town of Imperial. One other place where we have a seismograph. It's located in the town of Holtville. This is Holtville, California here. Holtville, California has a seismograph. And if you remember from Wednesday's program, Holtville had 30 earthquakes and about a dozen tremors. Again, what USGS doesn't tell us they think won't hurt us. The Imperial Valley every day has 250 to 300 tremors and earthquakes. Every day. But they're not going to show it to us, are they? Because they don't want us to know what's going on. We have seismic energy coming up from Mexico. It could devastate this area. The earthquake is going to be felt. If it hits down here, anywhere near the border, it will be felt all the way up into Los Angeles and San Diego to the west, and all the way out into Arizona to the east. The last time it happened was April 3rd, 2010. Easter Sunday, 2010. The earthquake hit at the border region of Mexicali and Calexico right here. Mexicali and Calexico right here. There was widespread damage throughout Calexico on the north side of the U.S.-Mexican border, and Mexicali had tremendous damage. On that day, I was in San Diego City, helping to conduct a disaster drill that started on Monday. We had to go real world on Sunday, after that 7.1 earthquake hit here. We saw great big huge plate glass windows from skyscrapers fall to the ground in San Diego and shatter on the sidewalk and the street below the buildings. Incredible. That may happen again. That may happen again. All I'm doing is issuing an earthquake watch, not a warning. This is not a warning. This is an earthquake watch. Juanita says, oh yeah, I still remember that day. Juanito, I can bet you do. It was an incredible day. It hit early in the morning, too. It hit in an area called Guadalupe, Victoria, Mexico. It may hit in the same area again. We don't know. We don't know. But all I'm doing is telling everybody right now what can happen. It's been 14 and a half years since it happened. It can happen again. Now I'm going to come back here to Southern California in just a few minutes. I want to show you other earthquakes that have happened here around the world today. Down here in the South Pacific, south of the Fiji Islands, we had another 4.4.
Chile class light, magnitude 4.23 minutes ago.
Atacama, northern Chile, a 4.4 magnitude earthquake a few minutes ago. Atacama is in Chile. Another 4.4 earthquake. They're going to have another major earthquake too, but I don't think it's going to be anytime soon. Down here in the south of the Fiji Islands was another 4.4 earthquake today. We have seen about 10 earthquakes in this area in the past week. They're going to probably continue. This is a 4.4 earthquake here, moderate earthquake. This is 563 kilometers deep. Deep earthquakes propagate stronger, more shallower quakes. Deep earthquakes propagate larger and more shallow quakes. This is going to propagate probably a 5.4, 5.5 earthquake. That energy may stay in the same area. It may go south into New Zealand. Again, New Zealand, they're not showing any earthquakes here today, but there are. There are 12 earthquakes in New Zealand today. All of those are minor earthquakes so far. This 5.4, 5.5 energy could go down to New Zealand. could go also north to Tonga. It could go north and west over to Vanuatu, Solomon Islands, or Papua New Guinea. Everybody needs to be on watch for that. It's going to happen. Now, we're past a planetary alignment stage. We saw an increase in earthquakes the other day after the planetary alignment and the huge eruption on the sun. Now we continue to see eruptions on the sun, CMEs, coronal mass ejections. The coronal mass ejections are ejecting plasma radiation from the sun. The Earth is still getting hit with plasma radiation. The plasma radiation is entering the Earth's atmosphere, going down to the tectonic plates, and even down to the core of the Earth, further heating up the core of the Earth, further heating up the tectonic plates. What happens when the tectonic plates heat up? What happens when the tectonic plates heat up? Let me show you. Typically, the plates will remain in place by friction that holds them together. The plates remain in place, friction holding them together. All kinds of dirt, mud, sand, gravel, and rock, and biological material at the bottom of the ocean, keeping the plates in place. When that plasma radiation or the electromagnetic radiation from planetary alignments happens, it heats up the plates. It heats up all that biological material that keeps the plates in place. That biological material turns into an oily, greasy substance that further allows the plates to move more freely. That's when we have seen a lot of earthquakes happen. That's one of the reasons we saw this 6.0 off of Costa Rica the other day. Why have we seen 6.0s down towards the Kermadec Islands as well? We're going to see more earthquakes. As that plasma radiation comes to the Earth, heating up the plates, we're going to see more earthquakes. It does not mean we're going to have a major earthquake. It just means we're going to have more earthquakes because the plates are going to move more freely. The earthquake faults are going to move more freely as well. We need to be aware of what's going on. Now, what has also happened over here? Okay, Papua New Guinea. Again, the USGS is only showing us what they want us to know about. Nothing more. This is a 5.0 in the Solomon Islands. The Solomon Islands, guys. This is Gizo Solomon Islands. A 5.0 earthquake hit. Okay? Let me blow up this area so you can see what has happened today. Okay? Now, for the most part, this is far enough offshore where it may not have had any effect on any of the islands or, for that matter, anybody living on the islands. Now, this was 86 kilometers northwest of Gizo Solomon Islands. I do not know whether anybody lives on Gizo Island. I do not know, nor am I aware of anybody that may live on this island. But this island is big enough that it may have inhabitants. Okay? Just because I don't see specific buildings here, that doesn't mean people don't live here. Okay? People may. This earthquake happened 86 kilometers northwest of Gizo Island. It may have had some effect. But just because it was a 5.0, it may not have had that huge effect on the island because the ocean waters absorb most of the shock waves of this quake. Okay? Further to the west here. This is over in Papua New Guinea. This also is a 5.0 earthquake. In this case, it's 65 kilometers southwest of Panguna, Papua New Guinea. I believe for the most part, this earthquake was not even felt by anyone over here in Papua New Guinea this time. This time. Earthquakes happen here all the time. This is one of the reasons I get so freaking upset with the USBS not reporting earthquakes. This is one of the world's largest subduction areas. There are 7 different tectonic plates here in the southwestern Pacific. 7 different tectonic plates. Each plate subducting under the other plate. That is why we have so many earthquakes in this region. That is going to continue. There have been at least 15 earthquakes in Indonesia. Notice they're not showing any earthquake at all. None. That bothers me. Up here to the north, the volcano islands. South of the volcano islands, we have the Philippines. The Philippines also had some earthquakes today. The volcano islands had a 5.4 earthquake. For the most part, nobody lives in the volcano islands because they're volcanoes. Nobody was injured or even hurt from this 5.4 large earthquake today. Right next to it was a 4.5 moderate earthquake. The ocean waters absorb the shock waves of these quakes here. We go up to Japan. This is off the northeast coast of Honshu, Japan. This was a large 5.1 earthquake. 48 kilometers east-northeast of Noda, Japan. Now folks, there are people living here in Japan. I don't believe they felt the full force of this large earthquake. However, they probably did feel something. They probably felt moderate shaking. Moderate shaking can still do damage. Okay? But that was far enough offshore. For the most part, the ocean waters of the Pacific Ocean absorbed the shock waves of that quake as well. Now, just briefly, I want to show you this. Look what they're not showing here. 50 earthquakes over in northeastern Turkey, Syria border region. 50 plus earthquakes right here between Syria and all of Turkey. They're not showing any of that, are they? Not showing any. 30 earthquakes here in Greece. Greece had a 4.5 today, a moderate 4.5 earthquake. Over here in Italy, they had a dozen earthquakes over in central Italy. Most of those are just tremors. They had some minor earthquakes down in southern Italy and Sicily. They're not showing those, are they? There were several earthquakes up here in the Himalayas. Sorry guys, get my geology mixed up here. Over here in the mountains of Switzerland, Germany, and Austria, and northern Italy. Earthquakes here. Most of these just tremors. France had an earthquake too. Spain had a handful of earthquakes too. But USGS not saying a word about it. Not a thing. I have issues with that. Again, over here in northern Chile, you just heard my earthquake tracker on my other device tell us about a 4.5 earthquake here in Chile, northern Chile. USGS is not even acknowledging any earthquakes here in Chile or in South America. There are 20 earthquakes all over South America. 99% of those are in Chile, Peru, and Colombia. But they're not saying anything about those earthquakes, are they? Not a thing. I told you already about the earthquakes over here in Central America. Over here in Puerto Rico, more earthquakes. As I said before during the past programs, and again yesterday, these earthquakes over here in southwestern Puerto Rico are due to men launching a machine, well, several machines, one in Norway, one in Russia, and one in northwestern Australia, triangulating southwestern Puerto Rico, causing 8.0 earthquake to happen on December 26, 2019, and December 28, 2019, an 8.4 earthquake. Incredible. We're still seeing aftershocks from those quakes. This is a 1.0, south of Taliboa, Puerto Rico. This is Arriba, Puerto Rico, with a 2.6 earthquake here, minor earthquake. This is 2.5 south of Indios, Puerto Rico here. Right next to it. Guess I'm going to have to increase this size here. Right here, right next to it, we have a 2.0 earthquake here. Minor earthquakes. Further here to the west, another 2.0 earthquake here. 5 earthquakes here in southwestern Puerto Rico today, caused by those machines of our governments, lighting up, triangulating southwestern Puerto Rico, causing death and damage. Major earthquakes. 2 major earthquakes in 2019. Day after Christmas and 3 days after Christmas. Further north from there, over here in central Puerto Rico, west central Puerto Rico, we have a 2.7 earthquake. I don't think this has anything to do with those 2 quakes I just mentioned. A 2.7 minor earthquake here. Offshore to the west of Puerto Rico. This is a 2.6. Now there is a body of water between the Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico. This is called the Mona Strait. M-O-N-A Strait. This is a 2.6 earthquake. 2.6 earthquake. To the north of Puerto Rico here, this is another 2.6 earthquake. Approximately 14 kilometers west-southwest of what? Remember that earthquake fault we talked about yesterday? Right here. That earthquake fault comes out of Guatemala, Central America, and brings earthquakes out here every day. Every day. Off the east side of Puerto Rico here. This is another 3.2 earthquake. Now we talked about earthquakes here yesterday. This earthquake is right near a small island of Puerto Rico. Esperanza Island, Puerto Rico. This is a small 3.2 earthquake. Okay? Now there are no other earthquakes here. Luckily for us. Okay? Now, we talked about earthquakes on the eastern side of the United States. We talked about the Madrid fault yesterday. There are more earthquakes on the Madrid fault as well. Now, I want to go up to Alaska. We've had some earthquakes in Alaska today. Let's hone in on Alaska here. Over here to the west, okay? Folks, this is near Adak, Alaska. 261 kilometers west of Adak, Alaska. This is just a 1.2 tremor. Right next to it, a 1.1. The Rat Islands in the Aleutian Island Fault Zone. The Rat Islands here. These are just tremors. We go west. This is Faults Pass, Alaska. Faults Pass, Alaska. This is a 2.3 earthquake. Now, there are people that live near Faults Pass. But folks, I believe, for the most part, nobody felt this earthquake. Number one, it's on land, but it's a minor quake, minor shaking. Nobody even feels minor shaking like this. Just offshore from that quake here, we have a 1.6 tremor. Nobody felt that as well. And it happened out in the ocean here. Again, earthquakes are not felt, especially when they're in the ocean. Even that close, it's just a minor tremor, nobody's going to feel it. We go north here. This is a 3.3. Again, this is out in the North Pacific. This is out just south of the Cook Inlet here. The Cook Inlet is a body of water between can't remember that island out here now. Between this island and the Alaska Peninsula here. 3.3 earthquake. In the ocean waters, nobody felt it. And it was just a small quake to boot. This one is right between this island and the peninsula again. This is south of the old Ililama volcano. This is also a 2.2 earthquake. We go up here to the old Ililama volcano, we have some earthquakes here. Old Ililama volcano is moving. This is a 1.3. This is at minus 0.4, which is indicative of being above sea level. But folks, USGS again is not telling us the truth. This is 2 miles deep, 4.3 kilometers deep, 2 miles deep. It is not above sea level at all. Okay? There are other tremors here and minor microquakes. Nothing to be really concerned with, even though this is at a volcano. If these seismic events were stronger, then I would say there'd be something to be concerned about. Not really a big deal today. Not right now. Okay? Let's go north. You can see minor microquakes and tremors going north. Okay? Now, right up here. Okay? Tynek, Alaska. Just south of Tynek, Alaska, we have Mount Redoubt. Mount Redoubt volcano. But folks, guess what? We have other volcanoes also here in Alaska. Not far from Anchorage, which is right here. This is Anchorage to the south of this quake here. This is a 1.5 tremor here, near Eagle River, Alaska. Now, folks, there's another volcano not far from Anchorage, and it's been moving. It's been moving to the point where they have seen steam coming from the volcano. Is it concerning? Should we be very concerned that something might happen in Anchorage? Right now, no. Not at this point in time. But we need to keep an eye on what is going on here in Alaska. We need to keep an eye on what's going on here in Alaska. Further north here, Chickaloo, Alaska. This earthquake just happened. This is a 1.1 tremor. 1.1 tremor here. Let's go north here. Let's go north to the Arctic Circle. Up here in the Arctic Circle here, Arctic Village, Alaska. This is a 3.0 earthquake. To the north, Katavik, Alaska. This is a 3.1 earthquake. Arctic Circle, guys, we've been having quite a few earthquakes here. But again, this is nothing to really get worried about. These are just minor, small earthquakes. We're going to keep an eye on them. We're definitely going to keep an eye on them. Now, I've been all over the world, basically. I want to come back down here to California. Like I said, we're on an earthquake watch for a major earthquake here in Southern California. I believe it's going to happen. That might happen very soon. Now, I've got a lot of things I want to talk about. I would hope you guys would stay here with me to hear me out. There's a reason we are talking about quakes. Because I feel like we're going to have some major earthquakes to deal with. I have a reason to believe it's going to happen. Kodiak, Alaska, that's what I meant to say. Thank you, Hurricane Heather. I appreciate that. Hurricane Heather says good hunting there. Probably. Kodiak, Alaska is that island I pointed out where I couldn't remember the name of it. Sorry, guys. Another one of my brain farts. As much as I have been around Alaska and my father having been there, with my uncle living there in Anchorage, you'd think I'd know Alaska like the back of my hand. But occasionally my brain goes, boop, gone. That happens. But I appreciate each of you being here, I really do. Now, the reason I am here, I want to talk about what's going on. I want you to be prepared. I want you to be very prepared. It's not just earthquakes I'm worried about. I'm worried about you all during any disaster at all. And yes, we're going to have plenty of disasters to talk about. Plenty of them. And it's not just earthquakes. As we've seen during the past few weeks, hurricanes pose a huge problem this time of year. And we may see another one or two storms hit the United States during the next few weeks. What happens when we have these major storms? Disasters happen, don't they? Let's talk about it. As a former newscaster from CBS News, Charles Carroll, he had Sunday mornings here on CBS News. He was a prolific author. He wrote many books. Charles Carroll had a lot of philosophical ideas. He said, it takes an earthquake to remind us that we walk on the crust of an unfinished earth. It takes an earthquake to remind us that we walk on the crust of an unfinished earth. I've been all over the world with you today, showing you earthquakes that have happened. Like I said, we've had hurricanes hit. We had a huge fire over in Wyoming, reached over into northern Utah earlier this week. These disasters have a problem with all of us, or all of us have a problem with these disasters. They can cause all kinds of hate and discontent. All kinds of hate and discontent. Are we ready for what happens? Or are we just sitting idly by? I hope to shout that we're not just sitting idly by, waiting for something to happen. This is a picture of a building that was distressed by an earthquake. The side of the building came completely to pieces. The surface of our planet has 20 plates, 20 tectonic plates that are constantly moving, and inevitably resulting pressure from these shifting plates can cause the crust to break, can cause the crust of the earth we walk on to break. But when something as massive as Earth's crust ruptures, it releases energy that moves through the earth in waves. And it doesn't happen without consequences for life on Earth. Particularly speaking, the danger from an earthquake typically doesn't come from the ground shaking. It comes from the resulting damage of man-made structures, office buildings, homes, bridges, and highways, as well as associated natural disasters such as tsunamis and landslides. We've seen plenty of those as of late. This year, although millions of earthquakes occur every year, all around the world, most of, as I have showed you, are too weak to be even recorded, or for that matter, felt. Of those that are recorded, the National Earthquake Information Center, the NEIC, records an average of 50 to 5,000 earthquakes a day. 50 to 5,000 earthquakes a day. Did you know that there are 8,000 earthquakes each year off the coast of Oregon? 8,000 earthquakes each year off the coast of Oregon. A new study suggests that that is the case. At least 20 earthquakes a day off the coast of Oregon. With that 5.0 that hit off the coast today, 5 other aftershocks hit with it. So that means those are just 6 of 20. 6 of 20 earthquakes have hit off the coast of Oregon today. Now, let me give you a glimpse in your minds of what might have happened in Haiti in 2010. What happened in Haiti in 2010? Can anybody give me a good idea what happened in Haiti in 2010? A major 9.0 earthquake hit in Haiti. Mexico City in 2017. A major earthquake hit here. And in Alaska, November 2018, a 7.0 earthquake hit Anchorage. Within the study of each one of those earthquakes, 3 earthquakes, I want to highlight practical survival tips that you might implement in your own preparedness plan. How many times have we talked about preparedness plans? Especially before and after the hurricanes hit on the east coast of the United States during the past 2 weeks. Each of us needs to have an emergency preparedness plan. If you don't have a preparedness plan, you need to get one. You need to have a preparedness plan to help you know what you're going to do after a major event happens, including earthquakes. Now, most of you are here in the United States. Some are over in Europe. Others are over in Australia and New Zealand that watch this program. Others are in Central and South America. But everybody is susceptible to earthquakes in your near future. Everyone, no matter where you live, is susceptible to earthquakes, no matter where you are. It can happen. It can very much happen. Now, I just got through showing you earthquakes in Alaska today. Guess what? Over in south central Alaska, that's just part of the earthquakes that happen. Right here. Right here. Earthquakes, southern Alaska. Look at all these earthquakes. These earthquakes happen every day. They happen every day. This is just southern Alaska. This is the earthquake risk in southern Alaska. We're not even showing Anchorage here. We are talking about Valdez, Alaska. We're talking about the Aleutian Islands of Alaska. We're talking about over in southwestern or southeastern Alaska, Yakutat, Alaska, and the volcano south of there. Risk of major events happening in Alaska. And this is real. Alaska is the most earthquake-prone state in the United States. And the area of Alaska experiences a magnitude 7.0 almost every year. Almost every year. I bet you didn't know that. In 2015, 10 years ago, the New Yorker magazine reported a massive earthquake is due to rock the Pacific Northwest. A massive earthquake is going to rock the Pacific Northwest. The New Yorker referred to it as potentially the worst natural disaster in the history of the Earth. Potentially the worst natural disaster in the history of the Earth and or North America. It's going to impact 7 million people. That earthquake is going to impact 7 million people. What does that mean? The health and well-being of 7 million people are going to be affected. It's termed that 1,700 people are going to lose their life. I believe there's going to be a lot more than that. There is a 7% chance that a magnitude 6.7 quake or larger will strike California at any point. We also talked about that earlier. There's a 7% chance that a magnitude 6.7 or larger quake is going to strike California. Scientists are saying it can happen any day. And that's why we are on an earthquake watch. Though scientists cannot accurately even predict exactly when or where and what state the earthquake's going to hit, there's definitely a good reminder to residents to prepare accordingly. It's a good reminder that residents of these areas have an emergency preparedness plan, as well as an emergency preparedness kit. When it comes to earthquakes within the United States, places like California or other parts of the West Coast may come to mind first. There are over 500 active faults in California. In 2015, the New Yorker magazine said that there's a 99% chance that a 6.7 or above earthquake is going to hit California. There is 1,000 500 and 700, 15,700 known faults in California. 15,700 known faults in California. 500 of those are active. Most Californians live within 30 miles of an active fault. Most Californians live within a radius of 30 miles of an active fault. What does that mean to you? What does that mean to you? Are you ready for what may happen? This map shows the most active faults, including the San Andreas Fault. Many of the mountains and some of the valleys in Southern California were formed by the San Andreas Fault system. The tectonic boundary between the Pacific Ocean and the North American tectonic plate, which runs east of San Diego County from the Gulf of California up through the Salton Sea and into the Los Angeles area. The West Coast is highly susceptible because it's located on the north end of the Pacific Ring of Fire. The Pacific Ring of Fire. What does this mean? The Pacific Ring of Fire is called that because the Pacific Ring, meaning from Alaska, east and west along the Pacific Ocean, highly susceptible to volcanoes erupting. That's why they call it the Ring of Fire. Almost 80% of all the planet's earthquakes occur around this Ring of Fire. That's a region that encircles the Pacific Ocean. And it's home to 452 volcanoes. 452 volcanoes. Now, in the past few years, I moved from Utah to here. Prior to me moving, and even after that, we have talked about earthquakes in Utah along the Wasatch Fault. The Wasatch Fault runs from southeastern Idaho all the way down into northern Utah, running on the east side of Salt Lake City, all the way down the central part of the state of Utah, all the way down to central Utah. There is a 100% chance of a 6.5 to 7.0 major earthquake in the Salt Lake City area sometime within the next 10 years. Sometime within the next 10 years. That said, states in the Midwest and the Southeast are also at risk. What would happen if a big one hit? What would happen if a big earthquake hit? Now, we are talking about the New Madrid Fault here. We're talking about the New Madrid Fault. Yesterday, we completely talked about the New Madrid Fault. I show you earthquakes that are hitting every day on the New Madrid Fault. The quake risk there has tripled. The quake risk in the New Madrid Fault area has tripled in the past 2 years. Should people be concerned? Oh, absolutely yes. Absolutely yes. What would happen if that 7.7, 8.0 earthquake could hit on the New Madrid Fault? And it will. Back in the day, 1811, December 1811 into January 1812. There was at least a 7.1, if not an 8.0 earthquake that hit on the New Madrid Fault. Nobody knows how many people were killed. The area was sparsely populated back then. Cabins and people living on the prairie. What happened? The new Madrid earthquake hit. It opened up. The central United States had a more potential for a larger quake than previous estimates even thought about. What happened? Earth started shaking. Upwards of a 7.0 to an 8.0 earthquake. It caused the Mississippi River to back up for 7 minutes, which formed a lake that's still there today. The Real Foot Lake, R-E-L-F-O-O-T-E Lake. It didn't exist before that. But because the waters of the Mississippi River backed up for 7 minutes, the water formed that lake over there. People may have lived in that area. They may have lived and died and drowned in Real Foot Lake as it filled in. No one knows the full extent of the damage in 1811 or 1812. The next time that earthquake hits, there's going to be nearly a dozen states in the United States that are going to be threatened, such as St. Louis, Memphis, Nashville, Atlanta, and Little Rock, just to name 6 of them. In 2011, when I was last there in Little Rock, that was the 200th anniversary of the 7.0 magnitude quake that hit the New Madrid Fault. Like I said, disrupting the Mississippi River, causing it to stop flowing for 7 minutes, filling in the Real Foot Lake. It may have killed tens of thousands of people. Like I said, nobody knows exactly. If this quake had happened today, if the New Madrid earthquake opened up today, thousands more would be killed, because little has changed since the 1800s when that quake last hit. The only thing that's changed is the population. The roads are still two-way, 2-lane roads. Highways even, 2-lane blacktop. Great big huge fissures opened up where those roadways are. All those roadways were cow paths, where cows and horses went. Now there's 2-lane blacktop the vehicular traffic travels on. When that earthquake opens up again, those fissures that are going to open up will isolate those towns and cities, meaning there's not going to be any help available for thousands of people. Who's going to fight the fires? Who's going to fight the fires when the water mains are disrupted? The water mains break in the streets. The fires caused by the earthquake will have to be put out from the air, because the fire engines can only hold so much water. Anybody that needs medical treatment will have to receive it from helicopters. Planes won't even get in. The airport in Little Rock, in Nashville, Memphis, Atlanta, St. Louis will be destroyed. The only way anybody's going to get around is by helicopter. Hospitals are going to be devastated. The power is going to go out. Just like we had a power disruption here during the hurricanes. This time it's going to last longer. There's still people in the mountainous areas of North Carolina that don't have power. It's already been over 2 weeks. They're being told that they probably won't have power for another 6 months. Now, there's been a lot of speculation about what is or is not happening in the mountains of North Carolina. I want to tell you, our government is not helping things. However, our National Guard troops in North Carolina are awesome. And other troops from South Carolina and Georgia have come here, as well as other states' National Guard troops. Some of those troops I've worked with on disaster drills throughout the years. They moved into Asheville, North Carolina, surrounding areas. They have built temporary homes, tiny homes even, to get people out of the severe cold that's been there during this week. Monday, 18 people died because of the cold. They did not have adequate clothing for the temperatures that happened this week. Even here in Morganton, where I live, temperatures were down in the low 30s, freezing temperatures. The National Weather Service issued freeze warnings for people that may have had gardens to protect their crops. Unreal. Communications were disrupted from the hurricane. When the New Madrid earthquake opens up again, communications will be disrupted for a very long time. Radio communications may become non-existent because the repeaters that the fire and police departments and other agencies use will be knocked offline from the shaking. Food deliveries will also be disrupted from the stores. What else is going to happen? This earthquake is going to kill tens of thousands of people. Tens of thousands of people. They figure several thousand people died in 1811 in the surrounding area. This time because of the population increase and the homes that were built before earthquake standards, that there will be absolute devastation. Absolute devastation. We're also talking about something else, if you hadn't already thought about it. How about the looting? After Hurricane Helene and also Hurricane Milton in Florida hit, stores and places got looted just like we're seeing here. That's going to happen again when the New Madrid fault hits. When the New Madrid earthquake hits, stores are going to be looted. After Hurricane Katrina, when I was there, even a corrupt police officer from New Orleans Police was arrested for looting a Walmart, helping to loot a Walmart. People lose sight of what's important. They violate the law, they violate other people's rights. What else is going to happen? Folks, I want to talk about another earthquake. August 23rd, 2011. August 23rd, 2011. What happened? There was an earthquake in Virginia. They said it was a 5.8 earthquake. But later they upped it to a 7.0. It hit in northeastern Virginia, northwest of Richmond. This earthquake was the strongest recorded in the east of the Rocky Mountains since 1944. It shook points north of Washington, D.C., caused cracks in the Washington Monument, forcing it to be closed for repairs. The quake was widely felt across more than a dozen states in the eastern United States and in Canada. That earthquake was in Virginia, and even points as far north as Canada felt it. And even down to Florida felt it. What do you think is going to happen? Where are we at? I want you to keep this in mind. Keeping all of this in mind, what can we look for major earthquakes that have happened in the past? What can we learn from? In 2010, the earthquake in Haiti. January 2010, the 7.0 major earthquake struck 15 miles away from the Haitian capital of Port-au-Prince. Aftershocks followed. Every few minutes, another aftershock. Quite literally, the earthquake was rocking the country to its core, relatively speaking. There were people killed. There was a lot of looting going on. But relatively speaking, this quake was quite shallow. That is why there was so much damage in Port-au-Prince and the surrounding areas of Haiti. Shallow earthquakes cause more damage than deep earthquakes do. This meant that the degree of damage, the degree of shaking at the Earth's surface was higher than normal. And that resulted in the devastation that we saw in Haiti. The country already lacked proper infrastructure. It lacked emergency services, and was still recovering from various tropical storms that hit, and hurricanes from previous years. This was a perfect recipe for a disaster, and the lack of building codes in Haiti meant extensive damage, and things have not even improved since then. Very little has improved. Aid efforts were hampered by a failed electrical system, which is already unreliable. Loss of communication lines and roadways blocked with debris. Now, out of this scenario, there are several things that we need to apply to future situations that we may face ourselves, such as reliance on computer and telephone systems, reliance on telephone and computer systems for communications. What have we learned from Hurricane Helene and Hurricane Milton? Communications was disrupted. We didn't have radio communications here. The ham radio repeaters went offline because of the hurricane winds. The antennas were broken. There was very little of any ham radio operations going on because no one could talk outside their homes. Many people did not have backup power, and so they could not even power their own ham radios. Mine's on backup power on batteries. Mine still works fine to this day. Most people did not even have that after Hurricane Helene or even Milton hitting Florida. Most communications failed in Haiti. When earthquakes hit in Northridge, California, communications then failed as well. During the 1989 earthquake in San Francisco, everything failed. Fires everywhere, flooding everywhere. The Oakland Bay Bridge died that day. The San Francisco-Oakland Bay Bridge died. It was broken up during the shaking, and it went into the Pacific and the San Francisco Bay. What's going to happen? What do you think is going to happen to us in the future? Are we ready for whatever's going to hit? Our own country's computer network was largely unaffected from the from the earthquake in Haiti. But our communication systems here on the East Coast went down from Hurricane Helene and even Hurricane Milton. The computer networks went down. Electronic media went down. When it came up, electronic media was a valuable resource for relief efforts and connecting with loved ones. What do we think about? Why am I talking about this? I want to make sure you stock up on portable battery charge packs. Stock up on battery charge packs to keep your phones and computers charged. If you have solar power, use it to keep your phones and batteries charged for your computer. Even if the electricity goes out for days. My wife and I, during the hurricane and after the hurricane, charged our phones in the car. Yes, we had backup batteries as well. I told you about this the other day. This little system right here from 4 Patriots. We charged our phones, or both of our phones, 3 times. It's solar powered. It's solar powered. We also used our car to keep our phones charged so we could use them for various reasons, even though we could not communicate outside our local area. We kept ourselves busy. Our networks failed outside of our Wi-Fi area after the first day. We had no contact with man anywhere outside of North Carolina. Nowhere. But it came back after a day and a half. And I know my wife was very grateful. And I was very grateful that I could communicate with you to let all of you know that we were fine. We were fine because we were prepared. We've been preparing food and other things for a very long time. We were prepared. Are you? Are you prepared for what might happen? That could happen any day now? Are you prepared for the looting that's going to happen after earthquakes hit? Or the looting that's happened after the hurricanes hit? Yes, looting up in the northwest mountains of Virginia and North Carolina. Looting. It's going to happen again. I want to make sure that you're stocked up so you can avoid dangerous situations at your local stores. Just to give you an idea, 4 weeks ago before the hurricane hit, our local Walmart had no eggs. Yeah, they had a handful, a dozen eggs that you could buy, but that's all. They had no storage of eggs at all. No flats of eggs. No, not even 30 eggs at a time. Now they have no eggs at all. They haven't had eggs for 4 weeks. Their milk supplies also went way low. We went over to Walmart twice after the hurricane. There was times there were only 3 or 4 gallons of milk in the cooler. They were lucky. People were buying milk right and left. Unreal. They had police outside the Walmart. They had Walmart security all over the place. Yet there was still looting going on. And this is only after a 2-day hurricane. Stock up on your supplies. Make sure your food supplies, your pantry, your food storage, you have plenty of food. Stock up on medical supplies as well. We talked about each of us learning basic first aid skills. Keep a well-stocked first aid kit. That's going to come in handy when treating minor injuries. Do not rely on your ability to access supplies and doctors after a major earthquake or any other major event. Don't rely on your ability to access new supplies and or doctors after a major event. I had a doctor's appointment the Monday following the hurricane. The power had gone back on. But all of a sudden, my doctor could not see me because they were not ready for patients. So now I can't get in to see that doctor until December 10th. Unreal. From September 27th, when my appointment was the first time, now they pushed me back to December 10th. Your access to doctors is not going to be there. Promise you. I need you to stock up on perishable food supplies. Stock up on non-perishable supplies, I should say. The British Broadcasting Corporation reported one young Haitian man survived the earthquake there in 2011 by diving under a desk when his building collapsed. And he subsisted on a diet of Coca-Cola and biscuits. He said, quote, "I would eat anything I could find." Additionally, several Americans were there in Haiti. They were trapped in a hotel for 2 days. They lived on Orbit's gum and Tootsie Roll Pops. Tootsie Roll lollipops and Orbit's gum. Always have a supply of nutritious, non-perishable food, whether you're at home or on the go. Make sure you have a supply of nutritious, non-perishable food. Do not rely on the government for relief, for supplies. Don't rely on the government for relief supplies. Even Vice President Harris supposedly visited here in North Carolina. Prior to her visit, they stocked up a plane. They stocked up a plane with supplies in it. There was only a photo op for the Vice President because that plane did not take off after that. It was unloaded after the Vice President left. Do not count on the government for anything. Physical destruction was evident and so great in Western North Carolina. But it was difficult to get relief supplies and relief workers in there, and it still is. It's been difficult for relief workers to get food and water and other equipment to certain areas of Western North Carolina. They have to hike in. They have to bring supplies in on the backs of donkeys and horses because the roadways are out and the bridges are gone. We need you to take upon yourself to ensure that you have enough supplies stored in the case that help isn't going to be able to get to you for an extended period of time. You need to be ready. Arnold Smith says, act on your intellectual portion of your brain, not the emotional components. Crying your eyes out changes nothing. A flat tire is a flat tire. Make sure you have your wits about you when everybody else loses theirs. In 2017, a major earthquake hit Mexico City. September 2017, a magnitude 8.1 major earthquake hit Mexico City, killing 369 people and toppling 40 major buildings in Mexico City. Those buildings wobbled and then fell. Ironically, the quake occurred on the 32nd anniversary of a larger quake that struck the capital in 1985 that killed more than 10,000 people. Mexico City is vulnerable, particularly vulnerable, because it is built on the site of an ancient Aztec city of Tenochtitlan. Why did I butcher that name? Tenochtitlan. Tenochtitlan. The ancient Aztec city, which was an island in the middle of the lake. The lake dry bed amplifies, the dry lake bed amplifies shaking from earthquakes. Just like we've seen over in Edwards Air Force Base and over in the Mojave Desert during the Ridgecrest quake a few years back. What truths can we learn from this? Be prepared for loss of electricity. Nearly 1 million people were left without power following the Mexico City quake. Over 1 million people were left without power here in North Carolina. Several million people were left without power after Hurricane Milton hit Florida. If this happens in your area following a quake or other disaster, it always helps to have a backup power supply, a backup generator, or anything with hand crank to help generate electricity. Even my new AM/FM weather radio has a hand crank on the back of it right here. 2 minutes of hand cranking provides 10 minutes of listening to the radio. Whether it is AM/FM news reports, or a weather report, or a major incident report on the local National Weather Service radio frequency. 462-4500. 462.4500 here locally where I'm at. Additionally, I would ask you to stock up on rechargeable batteries or solar-powered items such as radios like you saw me show you a minute ago. This radio also has a solar bank here on the top to keep the local batteries charged. Make sure you have rechargeable batteries. That way you're going to be able to monitor the local news reports from the radio and or television. Make sure you do. Make sure you do. Richard Smith is reporting a 1.5 earthquake in Finland. Not surprising. As I showed you last night, Finland, Norway, Sweden, and Denmark are all having earthquakes. One of the things besides radios and radio batteries, you need to have water purification. You need to make sure you have access to potable water. My wife and I have 5 cases of water here that we have access to. 5 to 6 cases of water here. We have months worth of water here, not just weeks. We have 4 or 5 months worth of water for our dogs as well, and for cooking. We have also clean water that we stored here, coming from the faucet. When we empty out the gallon jugs from our dogs or from the gallon jugs that we use for cooking, making food, we fill them up with tap water and save them. We have 50 gallons or more of water that we have already saved. I would urge you to do the same thing. Have an adequate water supply, or have life straws to get water from drinkable water from non-drinkable water. Live straws are an easy purification item. Something else that you might do is get one of these. It has a water filter here at the bottom of it. This can filter nearly a quart of water. This can filter nearly a quart of water to make it drinkable. To make it drinkable for you and your family. It's important to have water. We have several water purifying systems here in the house. I would urge each of you to do the same thing that we have. Okay? Make sure you have water purification systems in your house. Or at least have purification tablets that you can buy from the drugstores. Something else you might want to have in case of a earthquake or a hurricane, where you might be buried in rubble. Have a whistle. Have a whistle. I have a whistle here at my desk. Carol has a whistle with her all the time in her pockets of her jeans. She has a whistle in the bedroom next to her bed. I also have another whistle in the bedroom next to my bed. We have 3 whistles downstairs. Have a whistle on hand. That way you're not using your voice, crackling and wasting your voice yelling for help. Have a whistle. Thanks to volunteers and official emergency crews, 52 people in Mexico City were rescued from the rubble because they had a whistle. It's always a good idea to have a whistle so rescuers can locate you. In 2018, the earthquake in Alaska. The most recent major example of a major earthquake was in Alaska, where we had a 7.8 and an 8.7 earthquake in 2018. Fortunately, there were no deaths associated with those quakes. But overall infrastructure wasn't even severely compromised either, because the earthquakes happened over in the Cook Inlet, offshore from the infrastructure where these earthquakes hit. Bridges and roads were the most affected aspect of the infrastructure that happened. Many routes in the Anchorage area were impassable after the earthquake left deep cracks in the concrete. The governor at the time said at a news conference it would take weeks, maybe weeks and weeks, to repair all the roads that were damaged by the earthquake. This is so significant in the sense that transportation and access to supplies are affected. This could happen anywhere. Alaska, the Pacific Northwest, California, the central United States, the eastern United States, and Europe, England, Scandinavia, Romania, Croatia, the Czech Republic, Italy, Greece, Turkey, and anywhere else in the Middle East. Anywhere where the transportation will be affected because of the disaster. If you live in a rural area, you may not be able to drive to certain roads, on certain roads, to get to grocery stores, to buy anything. Not even your closest store, your pharmacy, or other valuable spots that you usually frequent. Now, I'm going to mention a few tips that we can glean from recent examples, such as beware of gas leaks. When these earthquakes and hurricanes hit, there may be gas leaks. We talked about this before. After the quakes, after the hurricanes, the major gas companies received more than 600 reports of gas leaks due to damaged gas pipes. If you smell gas or hear the hissing of a leak, the gas smell will be like rotten eggs or the hissing of a leak. Turn your gas meter off. There is a valve right next to the main gas line going into your gas meter. It looks like part of your finger, like here, this part of your finger. Get a wrench, put it on that little rectangular piece of metal, and turn it halfway like this. That will close off the gasoline flow to your gas meter at your home. It'll be pointing like this with the gas pipe open. When you turn it halfway like that, the gas line closes. Get a wrench and turn off your gas main. That way, there will probably not be any fire as a result of the gas leak. And you won't succumb to the natural gas that could hurt you and kill you. Turn off the gas. And also leave your home until the fire department checks your home. Leave your home. Do not turn the gas main back on. Do not turn the gas line back on. Wait until after the emergency. Call the gas company. Call a professional person to come out and check your home, your appliances, and even the gas main outside to make sure you're protected so nothing will happen to you. Let the professionals turn it back on. Do not do it yourself. Don't even light a fire. Don't light a cigarette. Don't light a cigarette lighter, nothing. Not a candle. Until someone comes out and checks your home. Okay? The gas company has to come out and repair the gas leak. Now, select homes and apartments that are up to code. The reason that some earthquakes happen and there's not that much damage is because the buildings were up to building codes. Since 1964, an earthquake hit Alaska, a 9.2 major earthquake hit Alaska, killing over 100 people. It's called the Great Alaskan Earthquake. We can talk about this quake another time, but since that time, building codes have been updated. When selecting your place of residence, make a point to find something that is up to code. Make sure your building or your house is up to code. The International Building Code is a basic construction blueprint that's enforced by states and cities all around your country. And that building code is updated every year. Something else that you might want to do is purchase earthquake insurance. Purchase earthquake insurance. Okay? Some people in California can't buy earthquake insurance any longer. They're not selling it because they know what has happened. The insurance companies are wise to what is going on because there's such a risk from earthquakes that insurance companies are no longer insuring some houses in California because they know that a major earthquake is incoming. Okay? Standard homeowners insurance does not cover earthquake damage. Standard homeowners insurance does not cover earthquake damage. Those scientists have given us warnings that certain parts of the U.S. and other countries are at risk for major earthquakes soon, or even within the next few years. We still can't predict what will happen where we live. We can still not predict what will happen or where we will be when these major events happen. That's why we need to prepare, and we need to prepare now. When an earthquake or any other disaster hits, it will be too late to prepare. You will not have time after the major event happens. Take the time now. That's why we talk about it all the time. Take the time now to stock up on supplies. Learn basic skills. Purchase insurance if you can before it's too late. Does anybody have any questions about anything we talked about? Does anybody have any questions about anything we talked about? I first gave this report to people in 2017. I've given it almost every year since. Every time I've gone to a disaster drill, every time I've gone to an emergency preparedness fair, or any time an organization wants me to come and talk about emergencies and disasters. And I've talked to you about emergencies and disasters every month, at least every month, if not every week. My buddy Don Patogas here in the chat. He says sanitation is the most overlooked. Sanitation is the most overlooked. Again, it's about you and yours. Have buckets. Have these 5-gallon deep buckets. And trash bag liners, plastic bags. Have toilet paper and wipes, pads and masks for dust and volcanic ash. Make sure you have Everclear, 190 proof Everclear, for sanitizing wounds. Vinegar, bleach, and soap to sanitize your hands. And sanitize the plates and utensils you're going to be using to eat. Nobody can do it but you. Nobody can do it but you. It's all upon each and every one of us. It's all about each one of us doing what we need to do. Antonia Duarte is asking, sir, I have a question. Yesterday we had a practice earthquake drill on our phone. Do you think that's just getting ready because it's coming? Yes. I can almost guarantee it. I don't know where you are. I don't know where you live. But I will bet you that they are having a drill because they know a big earthquake's incoming. Most people do. I hope you are paying attention. All of us are paying attention to what we've talked about tonight. This is about your survival. This is about your family survival, the people you love most. That's what we're talking about. That's what we're talking about. Deborah says she can be useful for medical help. She's been retired from the medical field since 2020. That's wonderful, Deborah. We appreciate that. Antonia's in Bakersfield, California. Bakersfield, California is right there on the San Andreas Fault. So, Antonia, you're absolutely right. They know what's going to happen. The people in your area, I know where Bakersfield, California is. I've been there. I know who's there. I know the emergency management people personally. Yes, they do know what's going to happen. And they're preparing everybody for it. Please pay attention. Please pay attention to what we said tonight. You can help those that you love. You can help your families and neighbors, your friends, those people you care about, your children and grandchildren. You can help everybody by being prepared yourself. Does anybody have any questions? Arnold Smith says a solar inverter can save you on fuel costs with an integrated solar panel solar inverter system. I agree. I totally agree. Thanks for that, Arnold. We appreciate it. Dilbert Reese says wax from candles is useful for starters for campfires and cooking. I totally agree there too. I totally understand that. Antonio Duarte says, thank you, sir. I will let them know. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. If I can be help for you and anybody else in your area, please let me know. I used to live in San Diego. I was a cop there. It's crazy. It's crazy. Do we have any other questions? Those of you in chat, Don Patoga is always coming up with these great things in chat. He's talking about first aid knowledge and training. Have a good first aid kit, a trauma bag. a suture kit with remedies for punctures, cuts, burns, bruises, broken bones, sprained ankles, slivers, and thorns. Absolutely. Hurricane Heather is here. Got to go walk her puppy. Have a good night, Heather. We appreciate you very much. Diane Kelman says cotton ball, rat wipes, and petroleum jelly can help start fires. I agree. That's a great idea. June Gass says, thank you very much for all you've done for us. Thank you for being here, June. Please, folks, please share this program widely with everybody you come in contact with. Every Friday, we talk about preparedness. Not just on Fridays. Anytime you see one of our programs in our history, we have over 650 videos we've already done this last year and a half. Anytime you see preparedness in the title of video, stop and watch it. You're going to find a great many things there that you can use. Okay? Anyway, please share this program far and wide with your family and extended family, your neighbors and friends, the people you associate with on social media. Share with the people you work with. Anyone can benefit from anything we talked about tonight. Please share it far and wide. Please also make sure you subscribe to this channel. If you're not already subscribed, subscribe. And when you subscribe to the channel, you hit that little subscription button. Also click on the button that says, well, it doesn't say anything. It has a bell on it. It's a notification bell. Click on that little bell. After you subscribe, click on that little bell. When that little bell comes up, there'll be a drop-down menu. Click on the word ALL. Click on the word ALL. That should get you notified when we come on the air. We usually come on the air sometime between 6 and 7 p.m. Eastern Time during the week. On Sunday, we come on about noon on Sunday with a program called Come Follow Me, the Savior Said. It's a Sunday school class every Sunday. We've been teaching for about 4.5 years. We love Jesus Christ. We love Jesus Christ, and we talk of Christ all the time. Also, folks, our mods have also been putting up our address for you. Our address is running across the bottom of your screen. Our address is 104 North Green Street, Box 105, Morganton, North Carolina. The zip code here is 28655. We'd appreciate cards and letters. If you want to send us donations through the post office, you can. That's a very convenient way of doing it. We haven't received a card or letter in over a week now. Prior to that, it was almost 4 weeks. My wife and I especially love to see cards and letters. We used to get cards and letters 2 or 3 times a week, but we haven't lately. We greatly appreciate that. If you also want us to support us, go over to our PayPal and our Venmo links, right directly below this video today, in the top of our program description. You're going to find our email address. You're going to find the ability to join as a member of the EMA family here on YouTube. You'll see our email address. You see our post office box address, and you're also going to see our Venmo and our PayPal addresses, 2 PayPal addresses. We'd appreciate any support that you can give us to keep this program on the air. It takes money to keep this program on the air. When I first started 5.5 years ago, I didn't believe that, but I do now. And the costs keep going up. We appreciate you guys being here tonight. It means a great deal to me, and my wife even. She loves and supports me, and she loves me to support you. She gives me hints and ideas of things that we can talk about. She's a great love. She's a great supporter of what we're doing here on Emergency Management Associates. My wife loves supporting me. She loves doing emergency preparedness stuff as well. She's a great help. Diane Kelman just gave us a $2 super chat. Thank you so much, Diane. We appreciate that so much. God bless you for that. I just gave you an EMA sticker on your super chat, and I just gave you a thumbs up. Also, please give us a thumbs up here before you leave tonight. That would greatly appreciate it. YouTube uses thumbs up as one of the analytical factors whether they're going to allow anyone else on YouTube to see this program. They use the number of minutes that you're on the air with us. If you're here 15 or 20 minutes, or 10 or 15 minutes, it's not going to do you any good. The longer you're here with our program every night, the better chance you are of getting good information to help you and your family to prepare for any kind of disaster or emergency that's going to happen. Please consider that. Consider the amount of time you're here. YouTube also looks at the number of people that watch our programs. Come here, watch our programs from start to finish. You'll get great benefit from that. We'd appreciate that. Share this program far and wide with everybody that you know. We want to also make sure you subscribe to this program. YouTube continues to unsubscribe people every day. So check your subscriptions. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. And also click on that little bell icon and get notified when we come on the air. There's about 25% of the people that watch these programs that are not subscribed. Imagine what would happen if everybody subscribed to this program. It would be awesome. It would be awesome. Now, before I leave, I want to leave you with a scripture. I've been leaving you with thoughts and ideas of a devotional from a book that I've been reading that I've had in my library for a lot of years. It's called Standing for Something. Tonight I'm going to go to Hebrews in the New Testament. In Hebrews chapter 5, verse 9, and being made perfect, he became the author of eternal salvation unto all them that obey him. We're talking about Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ is the author of eternal salvation for each one of us. I hope and pray that you will think about Jesus Christ. Think about having a personal relationship with the Savior. Think about praying. Seriously think about praying. Prayer is the soul's sincere desire. Prayer will help you to bless your life. I've shown this meme to you many times, and I'll continue to do it. Never forget, nothing is more powerful than prayer. Nothing is stronger than faith. And nothing is greater than God. Brothers and sisters, again, I love you to pieces. Don't forget that. Don't forget that. May God bless you. May God bless you now, today, and forever. May God be with you this day and always. We will see you again on Sunday about noon for Come Follow Me, the Savior said. However, if anything else happens today or tomorrow, we will be back on the air to tell you about it as soon as the information becomes available. I want to also encourage you to watch Mark Wages on Wages World here on YouTube tonight. There's been another eruption on the sun, and there is plasma radiation on the way to the earth. So watch Mark Wages when he comes on tonight. God be with you until we meet again. We'll see you on the other side. Have a good night, folks. Much love. See you soon.